Another day, another episode of the Funky Marketing Show, and today I have a pleasure to host a good friend of mine, someone who was a great supporter of the Funky Marketing Show and of the Funky Marketing overall. He was the first guest on the show, and today we kind of catch up of what's been happening in the last year or something like that. But before that, as always, funky intro. Hey guys, allow me to introduce to you my good friend, Yaag Ganesh. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Hemania, it's been a long, long time. So happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing good. Second episode I'm recording today, and then it's the day of the Europe, so there are tons of concerts around the city, and I can't wait to relax a little bit, listen to the music, and then like second half of the week is just traveling, going to a few speaking at a conference and then meeting some friends in Croatia. So just trying to get what I can in 2 days. So then I can just like embrace the engagement.
Amazing. Are you meeting Andre?
I think no. I think he's in Split, close to the sea. So maybe not. But I need to send him a message. Maybe he wants to come. Who knows? It's not a small journey to Zagreb, so who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, how are you, man? What's happening? I see you.
Oh,
I see you are running.
yeah, running. Pretty excited. All round in terms of personal life, in terms of marketing, in terms of things at Avoma. I'm absolutely enjoying. There's a lot of things to do. Learned a lot of things over the last, 1 year or more than 1 year or so with the Avoma. So pretty much everything is great. Super excited. I'm like, as always, I'm excited to see with the kind of questions that you come up with. Put me on the spot. So it's fun to talk with you, and I absolutely love this always.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm gonna ask you, but that's how it goes. Yeah. So what I wanted to get into is like the last time when we created the episode, uh, we were talking, and you were in different projects,
Yeah.
just doing lots of different stuff besides the account based uh, marketing podcast.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, like account based marketing conversations podcast is one of the best podcasts talking about B2B, about B2B marketing in general. And Yag asks better questions than I do. So you want to subscribe over there and listen to some in-depth episode with some of the great guests. So I remember. Let me tell you how I see you. Like I see you as a guy who is always direct, straight, honest, and likes to to consult with people he knows, he trusts about all kind of different stuff. It can be the project that you are working on. It can be career shift or whatever it is. I
Yeah,
guess I'm right,
absolutely.
right?
No, absolutely, right. So, because see, one of the things that I truly believe is that nobody can know everything, and so fundamentally, one thing that I believe is even as a brand, right? So you cannot. That's something that I just posted today as well. That you can only be yourself. If you're trying to be somebody else, you can never be the best at that. And so in that journey, what you're going to do is like you're going to identify a set of things that you do over a period of time and see what you enjoy, and capitalize on that, learn more on that. And then there are always going to be certain set of people who are better than you in certain areas. Always great to learn from them. There are certain things that you can share. So that goes on, and in that journey what you do is that you build a lot of new relationships, good friends, and then build that trust. And one of the things that I strongly believe in is that it's not always transactional, it's not always commercial, but the moment you start building these relationships, you are playing the long term game, and you're building this long term relationship. Like, say, with you, when we first started talking, um, you were just starting funky marketing at that point, and we just naturally became two friends who shared ideas. And over a period of time, yeah, we probably might not have worked a lot together exactly, but the thing is that we've always known that, hey, if there is something that I can go to Nemanja, or if there is something that Nemanja wants that I can help with, he'll always come to me. So that trust at the back of my mind, and that is what I think everything is all about. That fundamental relationship takes you everywhere.
Yeah, and we may not talk every day, but we were exchanging messages every day, like
Yeah,
a couple of us, and that's actually a good topic. So, like, how we get to know each other. Like me and Yag were going, communicating in comments under my post, under his post, and one day, like, he just adds me to the group, LinkedIn, inside LinkedIn DMs, a group with like around 10 people that he recognized as, I don't know, the newcomers or people that know what they're talking about, however do we call it. And like, that was a group where there were some of the biggest names right now on LinkedIn. That
absolutely,
that's a
absolutely.
that's a fact now. And what's fascinating is that the idea came from you, and basically we were all exchanging ideas, talking about topics, inviting each other to, to
Yeah,
change opinions on our posts, and basically learn from each other,
yeah, yeah,
boosting each other's presence at the moment.
yeah, absolutely. And it's like, at the outset, when somebody listens to this, for them it might sound like we are talking about a pod, but let me clarify that
Yeah,
it was not that. The thing is that we were a group of friends who like to, there was less about post sharing and more about exchanging ideas and learning from each other. Like, we come across something, I know that a lot of softwares that I came across that I tested out was probably because somebody in the group brought it up and said, hey, you try this and see what do you think about it. Or maybe if I'm asking a question related to, say, performance marketing, or say something related to martech, we were always having people that we could point out to. You might point out to some of your friend and say that, hey, talk about this subject to this guy, this is the best person. So that kind of is what expands, and that's the beauty of that. And yeah, as you said, now when I look back, all these people are who's who of LinkedIn and some of the topics that they talk about, and that's amazing, right? So the journey over the last 3 years or so has been amazing for pretty much everyone here.
yeah, I agree. Um, it's a pity that it was pandemic, that we couldn't actually travel a lot and meet each other in person. But it feels like when I met Zineb, it's like we know each other for the whole life, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, but one thing that I was thinking about is that, back in the days, you wanted to kind of get back in house and work for a company you believe in, the goals you believe in the product, and you were
Yeah.
looking to find the fit. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit about, because I see lots of people don't go and search for the company they want to work with or build a product they want to work with. They just go, I need a job, I can work anywhere as a CMO and somebody's marketing, something like that. You went on the other way around, which is the way I recommend to the people, and it is like, it's the same as you are going for the ideal client. It's like
Yeah.
going to for the ideal employer in that way.
Yeah, even ideal life partner, I would say.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, you're so true, you're so right on that, because the way it happened was, I was, I recognize that very much working across different companies and different projects over the last 13 years. And one of the things that I particularly felt was that, honestly, I was not able to give my 100% unless I truly believed in what somebody is trying to solve for. And when I say solve for, it's not just about what the product solves for, but it's a whole gamut of things. To me, a relationship is very holistic. What happened with Avoma was that I observed the company. In fact, I first met Aditya about probably 5 years or 6 years back. And the way it happened was I was working for another company, and I was working on a live chat tool, and it so happened that Aditya posted on Twitter saying something that there was some billing issue with the product that he was using, and he did not enjoy that or something like that. And I reached out to him, and I said, hey, maybe you might want to give a try with this product. I'll give it to you for free for 1 year, and you tell me how this works for you. I mean, the deal didn't progress. He didn't take it up. But what happened in that journey was that you know, he saw it the other way around. He saw that Yaag is in the marketing department of some company. He has nothing to do with sales, but he has taken this step to reach out to me, and he's starting this conversation. He's genuinely invested in something. So that kind of stuck in his mind. And for me, I continuously kept in touch with him with something or the other. I was just looking at some of the things that he was doing, and at that point, I also saw that the previous company that he was running, he successfully got acquired by another company, and he was building this company called Avoma. We kept in touch, and then I saw that this project started. It was coming along well, and from the outside, I was looking at how he was building the organization. I loved so many aspects. I loved the problem that they were solving for. When you look at conversation intelligence as an industry, it is now you see that almost every week there is one new product coming up. So it's getting crowded pretty quickly. It might not be as crowded as the CRM category or a live chat category, but it is right now pretty much crowded. There are new products coming up every day. But what I really loved is that compared to say a market hegemon like say a Gong, for example, you know here the ideology was very very different. When everybody was talking about conversation intelligence from a sales viewpoint, somebody could see it holistically. Somebody could see that, hey, it is the idea of democratizing customer intelligence throughout the organization, or probably even the internal discussions could be democratized across, so that there is cross functional collaboration going on, there is this information, and so on and so forth. I loved that viewpoint. And what really, really attracted me is the set of fundamental principles and virtues that he as a person followed that also transpired into the organization. You know, to give you one example, I once made a post on LinkedIn where I asked people, hey, what do you think about mystery shopping? Okay. So there is this one ideology where people think that it's okay to sign up for a competitor's product and test it out because it's part of research. Fair enough. I don't say this is good or this is bad, but personally it is my viewpoint that I don't like it. I personally feel it's unethical. It's okay if a customer comes on my product's demo and tells me that, hey, this feature in your product is great compared to somebody else because of X, Y, and Z. That's a whole different proposition than me snooping into somebody else. So I saw that Aditya also believed in similar ideologies. He had similar principles, similar thought processes. And when you look at it from the outside, you get the time to look and identify that, okay, you know the problems that I want to solve for, instead of me building the product from ground up, there's somebody who's doing it amazingly, and it so aligns with the way I want to do. Why don't we join forces? And at that point, he was not even looking for a director of marketing at that point. I just reached out to him. I started a conversation saying that, hey, this is my observation for the last 1 year or so. I think I can add value in X, Y, and Z areas. But at the same time, let me tell you, A, B, and C is not my expertise. So if you're expecting this, we are not a good fit. But if you think we can collaborate, do let me know. And we got on a call. We spoke for an hour. He gave me a demo. And that demo, I'm not exaggerating. It was exactly like how Steve Jobs told to the CEO of Coke, saying that, do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life? Right? So it was that kind of a conversation. I absolutely was mind blown. I said, hey, this is something that I want to take up. And till date, even now as I'm speaking, I'm so excited and I'm so pumped whenever somebody talks about Avoma. And that is truly fulfilling. I think it doesn't happen when you look at it as a job, but it happens when you truly believe in something, when certain things align together, and you it has to come from the heart. It cannot be a job. It has to come from the heart. That way what happens is, even if you're working say 12 hours or 16 hours a day, sometimes, I mean, nobody compels me to do so, but sometimes when you do that, you still feel fresh, because you are working on something that excites you and brings energy from you at the end of the day. So yeah, maybe I overspoke, but yeah, this is what I wanted to share.
All good. That sounds good. That's all I wanted to hear. So it works from both sides, right? From
Yeah,
you entering the company and the owner hiring.
yeah,
Because like at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, you were the first marketing person in the company, right?
that's right. Yeah,
So it's highly important who's going to be the first person. That's
yeah,
that's also from the company perspective. That's
yeah,
highly important because like if it's somebody that expects to grow in a different way than the company can provide, it's not
yeah,
a good fit.
absolutely. And there's a lot of things to add there, right? So for example, there are different phases. The thing that a marketer generally needs to understand is that they need to be flexible with the way an organization is, especially when you are a startup, right? So for instance, when I joined the company as a one person team, I had to work on content. I also had to work on product marketing, a little bit of branding, a little bit of PR, a little bit of press releases, and then also I used to do demos. I used to also work on partnerships a little bit, and then there used to be a little bit of SDR aspects as well. So I was like doing n number of things. Now, if I saw from the perspective that, hey, my expertise is being a product marketer or being a content marketer, then I would have confined myself to that, and it would not have been a great fit. And even in the first conversation that I had with Aditya, he also did not oversell. His point of view was that, hey, in a startup, are you willing to do whatever it takes? You know, that is what is fundamentally important, and that happens only when everybody in the organization looks at it as an entrepreneur. They need to feel that it's my organization that I'm building. And the beauty is that this is not just in my team, but I started seeing this across the organization. Everybody felt like they were building something on their own. So that was point number one. And then the next phase comes in where the organization grows. And as you keep growing, when I joined, we were a seed company. And now, last December, we raised our Series A, and then there's next level of growth that's happening. And now what happens is when we start building proper processes and go a little depth, at this point, you have to work in a different style. When you're working from 0 to 1, or probably say 0 to 3 or 4, in that journey, it's predominantly going to look like, hey, you are playing the role of an evangelist. You're jumping on podcasts, you're doing demand gen, you're doing content, you're doing pretty much everything. But then you need to start streamlining, saying that, hey, every function needs to go a little bit deeper. There needs to be somebody going deeper into product marketing, because if you touch surface levels for everything, then it's going to be still there, but there is not going to be any depth to it. So at that point, you need to understand that, hey, the organization is going this way. There are a set of skills that I need to develop in a different manner for this, or probably adjust or realign to certain things. And then there are going to be newer set of people coming into the organization. The team is going to grow. So the beauty of this entire marketing journey, especially when you go from a startup to, say, seed, series A, series B, so on and so forth, is that either you grow with the same level as the organization grows. If that happens, that's fantastic. Or you start to identify that what is that core area that you will be able to contribute really, really well, and start align towards that and say that, hey, I'm going to completely own this. Let somebody else come in, and let somebody come in and own the marketing, or that leadership at the larger level within the marketing team. Somebody who has probably, say, for example, seen a series B or series C, because they've done that, and how I can contribute to that journey. It's like playing a sport. You need to know when you need to be a quarterback, when you need to be in the forward, when you need to play in certain positions, and being what the team needs is what ultimately makes the entire team win, rather than you trying to say that, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'll do, and if not this, then I'm going.
Love that, especially the comparing to the sports and drawing that parallel
Yeah,
because I'm a fan of Partizan basketball club.
yeah,
And it's interesting that it's a different story, but you inspire me for that. So like we brought back the, let's say, the biggest coach in the Europe, the legend Željko Bradovic,
Mhm.
who brought the only title to the club back in 1991. Now it was the 30 years of the title. And then we
Wow.
brought him back to bring the club back where it belongs, back to the EuroLeague and bring back the title. And, and we expect it to work right away. Like he will know the pieces, he will bring everybody in. And then, and there are two roads to the EuroLeague. One is to win the Euro Cup, and the other one is to win the domestic league. So we expected then Euro Cup is the easiest way. We can go over there. Then in quarterfinals, it was 20,000 people in Belgrade in the arena, and we lost. We actually were leading 5 points in the last 30 seconds, and we lost in the overtime. And it was his mistake, and like he owned the mistake. It's okay. Like I'm the one who have chosen the players.
Yeah.
I'm the one who was not called the foul, those kind of things, and the players as well. They need. I didn't do my part of the job
Yeah.
the way I did.
Yeah.
And that's how I see every company working, and especially in the startup phase, when we all need to grow up a little bit. It means that we will do all kind of different stuff. It's not
Yes.
like you are bringing in a veteran that will just shoot the ball because that's what he does better. He needs to
Yeah.
also teach the ones that are coming behind him so they can become better and allow him to make that shot, to have a chance to get that final shot.
Exactly. And even, because you're playing this multiple roles in the beginning, there is a certain advantage to that as well. When you look at it, the thing is, because you've played several parts, you have the context of the entire organization as to what adds to what and how all things collectively work, and gives you that holistic visibility and understanding. Some of the things that, for example, we internally practice is that, every this might appear very small, but there's a massive impact to it. So every 2 weeks, we have a sprint meeting on the second Friday or and the fourth Friday of every month, wherein everybody across all functions comes in and presents what has been accomplished in the last 2 weeks. Now, you know it does two things. It adds value, wherein I know what some developer on iOS is doing, what somebody on the front end is doing. I know what the salesperson X is doing, salesperson Y is doing. I know what the SDR person is doing. I know what Aditya is doing. I know what the CTO is doing. Now, and they also know what I'm doing. So it's an opportunity. There are multiple ways to look at it. You can either think that, oh my god, I'm going to be exposed, or you can think that, hey, it's a great opportunity for me to showcase the value that I'm adding. At the same time, I can get the context of what somebody is working on, how it adds value together. And the next task that I pick up, I'm cognizant of two things that is working in the background, and add value with that context rather than working in silos. And then when you build this flat organization, it's that's the beauty of democratizing everything. You need to know the context of it. And stats as such, when you look at purely numbers, you can say that, hey, you know what, from last year to this year, my we grew the number of employees by 100%. Sounds fantastic, but for example, you could have grown from one person to two people. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
So at the end of the day, that context and that knowledge is what makes a massive difference.
yeah, love that. Here comes Ugi Juric
Hey Yogi, how are you?
in the comments saying want to say hi to the two best B2B content creators out there.
I mean, he's the best. I absolutely adore Ugi. He's one of the most straightforward, honest people that I've met. And big respects to you, Ugi. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, I say the same. Like, there's a generation of young marketers coming from Serbia, like Ugi, like Vuk Vukashin,
Yeah, yeah,
who was working in Lemlist. Like,
yeah.
when I'm seeing like how they are thinking it in those uh, that age, I'm like, wow, that's just something. And I cannot wait to see what they will accomplish in like in 5 or 10 years. Like,
Absolutely.
but tell me one thing. I like to think about the sprint, and I like how you connect the dots inside a company, and like eliminate the silos in that way. like when I look into funky marketing, we were doing that like from the start every day, especially now because it was pandemic and we were
Yeah.
building things in pandemic, and it makes you see the same team every day, and you get the feeling like you're not in the office, but you can talk about the things, like have a little laugh,
Yeah.
those kind of stuff. Now, when we work it a little bit differently and change a little bit the team, now we meet like 3 times a week, but those each one of those 3 times we use that I can get as many insights, knowledge, education to all the other guys in the company, or I can learn something from them. But like for example, Alic, who's here for a while now, starting as somebody who is just a copywriter, now starting to look like a strategist. Uh, like we have this open communication that he says, remind me, like, why are we doing this, or like what's our ultimate goal, like just
Yeah.
out of the sudden. And then
Yeah.
I, as a founder, as CEO, needs to, okay, I need to have some data based on that so I can actually
Yes.
elaborate things. And I like the people who are asking smart questions.
Exactly. This reminds me of some of our internal conversations as well. Sometimes when we have this internal conversation, Aditya does ask us that, hey, are you saying yes because it is coming from the CEO, or do you really believe in it? And yeah, it's very important to have that back and forth. And one of the fundamental things of working remote is that you need to look at it a little differently. For example, a lot of people come from the perspective of having worked in an office, and from there they moved to working remote. So that is a whole different style. If you try to replicate the office things into a remote world, it might not be a perfect fit. You cannot fit a square peg in a round hole. Instead, you need to think of this differently. The moment you think of it as like, hey, how do we do things remote first, then you know everything fundamentally changes. For example, the sprint thing that I told you about, you could think of it this way. Let's say in a typical office, let's say the engineering team was using a tool like Jira for all their ticketing, filing, and things related to tech. And let's say marketing was using something like Asana for all our project management related stuff. Now, what happens is, in a remote world, you are probably using, each team is using something else, 10 different tools, and there is no common context. Okay, so one of the first things that we did early 2021 was that we said, hey, when it comes to project management, the number one thing that we'll do is we'll eliminate all these 10 different tools, and we'll just have one common tool in ClickUp. Okay, so we bought ClickUp. We said, hey, I'll have context of what the tech person is doing. They'll have context of what I'm doing. At any given point, you can just look into each of those tasks, know where it
Mhm.
is, and that context happens. And similarly, what we also started to do was that, many times I've seen it in some of my past organizations, that a content marketer, for instance, creates content in their own silos. They are either looking at Ahrefs, and they're thinking, okay, this keyword has about 7,000 or 8,000 searches per month, and let me create content around that. Let me do all sorts of things to get it ranked, and that's it. But is why are you competing and trying to play somebody else's game? Somebody who's searching for a certain phrase might be looking for your competitor, but it's not the value proposition that you're solving for. And one of the fundamental things we started to do that was, we said, hey, let's make it a point that everybody in the organization listens to customer conversations and prospect conversations. And once we started doing things like that, you know everything that we started to do came from that perspective. We said, hey, can we bring in that customer DNA into everything that we do? And like, the moment we started doing every single thing, we started asking, hey, is this really useful? Is this something that somebody and even writing the title for a blog post, if I have to give you a very minutest of the example, we would like think, Are we force fitting this title, or is this how somebody would even search? If somebody trying to solve this problem, how will they look at it? How will they think about it? And if they think about it, instead of thinking H1, H2, blah, 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 yeah, that's important. But am I answering all the questions that somebody might have? I'm very interested. I'm very interesting that, Ugi is here. One of the things that happened is that because of people like this, that relationships that we have built online also, sometimes, I would love to give a huge shout out to him, because there have been many a times where he has picked up some of my content. He has like read and said, hey, yeah, these things are great. Maybe you can add value here by doing X, Y, and Z. And he's not expecting anything from me, or he's just giving his value, his perspective, and saying that, hey, if you do this, you can probably improve it to deliver this kind of a result. And then I remember there was a day where he spent about 30 minutes of his time to showcase that how do you analyze the ROI of this content, what exactly to measure related to this on GA. Nobody in the world would do that. That's why I say, fundamentally it all boils down to, if you can build good relationships, everything will fall in place.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm talking about every day. And you got me thinking. Like this morning, I was doing the keyword research for a friend of mine. I'm helping him like start the foundation for the company and everything. And it's like in the moving industry. He's building a CRM for the moving industry, and like if I go and use the keywords that he's giving me, like we're gonna go to garage sales, and we're gonna go to IT and technology company moving from one city to another in the US, like
Mm.
totally different stuff. And then like thinking, okay, this is not a good thing to start, especially from like
Yeah.
because the keyword is one of the most difficult ones because it's moving.
Yes.
It can be lots of stuff.
Yes.
And then I said, okay, let's do a different thing, because if he doesn't know, he's just starting, he doesn't know all the points that he needs to answer. Let's go, and what's the other thing that we can go and we can see what competitors are ranking for,
Yeah.
but then see how we can differentiate from that and still be within the space, because
Yeah.
like we just need clear yes and clear no, and to play our game inside in the middle of it.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of what exactly you're saying. There was this one conversation that was happening between a prospect and one of our A's. Okay.
Hmm.
So the question that this prospect asked was, hey, you have something called filler words on your dashboard. Just because somebody uses filler words in their conversation, will it hurt or help them closing a deal? That was a question. And when you generally do a search on filler words, you'll see that it's about words like, like, and these kind of stuff that people use in between sentences. It can mean n number of things, as you just said. But the core context that person was asking was, hey, just because if I use these filler words, I know you're giving me a dashboard that measures all these things, but just because I use some filler words or reduce filler words, how is it going to impact my sale? Now, that's a very contextual question, right? And I realized that, yes, there was a search volume of about 4,000 for filler words. Great. But that's a totally different thing. The people ranking for filler words are totally different. But how do I combine in this context? Because this is the question. Now, it led us to go back and do some research, take a look at the thousands of calls that have been recorded on Avoma, and see what is happening. And the moment we realized there are 3 points that came out. The thing was, just because somebody uses filler words, you're not going to lose a deal. But on the contrary, if you are probably using 70 filler words for every 100 words that you speak, you're going to come across as you're not prepared, or you're feeling very nervous, you're not confident of what you're going to talk about, so on and so forth. And then if you're 100% perfect, it feels like way too rehearsed, way too plastic, it's not real. And then we identified that it's that 2 to 3% of filler words for the number of words that you speak is that ideal thing where you can do. And this, I wrote a blog around this topic. And now that it's not just about ranking, But say, for example, even if about 1,000 people read that blog post, and say from that there are about 200 people that were excited to go and schedule a demo, that is far more valuable than trying to rank for all possible keywords that does nothing. Sometimes I think about it this way, say a HubSpot ranking for how to create a GIF. What has creating a GIF got to do with anything that they do, right? But here's the thing to it. While you can criticize, you understand that HubSpot is playing at a whole different level. They have a different strategy, and they have a bigger team. There are probably a few people specifically sitting only to create content, only to measure content,
Exactly.
only to drive top of the funnel. They can do that. But on the contrary, if you are a 10-member, 20-member team, and within that, if your marketing is one or two members team, you need to get your priorities straight, and that comes from keeping your ears to the ground and trying to understand who your customer is, what is the context of their question, and how you can solve it. That's where the real magic happens.
Exactly. Well said. I have nothing to add. We can now finish the conversation. Yeah. So tell me, when we already start talking about that, how did you guys plan the whole content strategy when it comes to Avoma? That's a good topic, and we can get a little bit more insights on that. I know you are excited about the topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, the way we think about it is we think about what are the different problems that people have. So there are two things that are going to happen here. There are going to be problems, and then there is also this context of understanding who your competitors are, what they're trying to do, and then there is this third thing about what is that you want to see. What is that is unique about you. What is your north star? Now, if you're only going by the problems, it takes you in a different direction. So there are certain times where you need to believe, there might be no data to back that up, but if you strongly believe that, hey, that's a very important thing. I'll give you an example. So we started talking about this concept called product led and sales assisted as a model. Okay,
Hmm.
so the entire world was generally talking about PLG. Okay, so PLG was there, and then we saw that realistically, can you be 100% PLG? This is just an example. So we realized that you cannot. What do you mean by that is, even if you take the examples of, say, somebody like Slack, or say, for example, somebody like Loom, or somebody like, say, even Zoom for that matter, what happens is you think that there has been a certain inherent virality into the product which got them spread. But for Loom, they did a product hunt. Okay, they got their first probably 1,000 customers from product hunt, and then the product's virality helped them multiply that. So what you understand is there are two parts there. There is an acquisition side, there is a conversion side, right? So you need to treat these two things separately. You cannot go with the myth that, hey, I'm completely product led, I don't need a marketing team, I don't need a sales team. No. And then there came this next aspect called sales assisted. So generally what started happening was a lot of companies started adding a sales layer to PLG, but it was more like adding a sales led model. What I mean by that is you schedule a demo on the website, it goes on to the calendar of an AE, and the AE will do the discovery call and demo the product to you. That's that's not that's not the point. The point is the sales assistant aspect is somebody even who signs up for your product for free. What happens there is that there are going to be different kinds of customers. There are going to be certain people who like to try and test everything on their own. They don't like to be, it's like you going into a departmental store. If somebody is walking right behind you, breathing behind your neck, you don't like it. You want to do what you want. That's absolutely fine. But at the same time, what the person is expecting is that now you're looking for something, you're not able to find it, and you also quickly want somebody else to come around you and say that, oh, what are you looking for, can I help you, and then help you identify that item and buy, right? So the same thing can happen here. That's what we call as the sales assisted model, which means that I'm here, either you raise your hands, or when I see that you're going through a problem, I'll come to you. And the intent is not to push my product on you, but rather reduce that friction. It's in my interest to make you successful with the product. So if you're coming in here, it's my job to make sure that you know what is what, and whether you continue after that 14-day trial or not, that's totally up to you. But that's something. And then we started looking at multiple aspects of it. We started to look at that there is a whole modern SaaS game around it here. So that's why we started this modern SaaS podcast, where we wanted to say that, hey, it's not just about this, but there are multiple aspects how a SaaS company can be run. It's very aspirational. Sometimes you need to look more than the product that you're selling, more than the industry that you're doing. You're looking at, hey, what are we here for? When I first joined the company, what Aditya told me was that, hey, we are here not just to sell a conversation intelligence product, but we are here to, automate all the mundane tasks that are available and augment with people on all the, most important tasks that they are working on, and see how we can assist them there. Now, this is so aspirational that today it is a conversation intelligence tool. Tomorrow it can be everything else. So when you
Mhm.
look at it in the gamut of modern SaaS, we realize that there is this buyer experience that you can improve on. There is this pricing aspect. Now, one of the things that we felt there was, again, if I have to give you an example with pricing, now, if a company has a pricing page and says something like, hey, talk to us to get to know about our pricing. I get it. You don't want to say your pricing because of X, Y, and Z reasons. If that is the case, why even have a pricing page? You don't need to have a pricing page if you're not going to give something. At least give a hint. Say that, hey, $2,000 onwards or something like that, so that somebody who's coming in, they might qualify themselves out if they are not in that range, right? So that is one aspect. And then pushing people to think about things like, hey, you have to commit to an annual plan. Now, one of the things that we have as a virtue is that, hey, we need to be confident about our product. You sign up for monthly, use it, and if you continue with us because you love the product, that's great. I don't want to push you for a 1 year thing to show better balance sheet or show a better churn. You don't do it that way, but you do it by improving the buying experience and the buying product experience and what you can do, so on and so forth. So we started looking at those things. And if somebody wants to come in later and say that, hey, I love your product, now I want to get the 20% discount, I would let me sign up for an entire year. That's a whole different ball game, rather than me saying the only option is annual. you know so we started thinking about all of these things, and we realized that who are the people we are targeting to. We realized that we are not just talking to salespeople. There's this whole gamut. We can add value to the product folks. We can add value to recruiters, because you record those calls, get transcriptions, one pager summaries. What it does is, you don't have to ask the same questions to every new person. The previous person, when I hear that Nemanja has interviewed this person, I know what the context has been. I can move forward. Similarly, there can be an internal conversation that happens that can add value to me. So we realized the conventional value here is to say that, hey, you know what, focus on just one persona. Not really. Sometimes you need to know that, what is that one persona, why is that, just because somebody says so? No. And that's when we internally devise this concept of ICP in a different way. We said ICP is not ideal customer profile for us. ICP is initial customer profile for us. What I mean by that is, if the salesperson or customer success person is buying the product first, that's my initial customer profile, and that's a door opener. Then they can expand to the entire organization. That's where your CS team comes in, and that's where you look at net revenue retention per customer, land and expand kind of stuff. So you can think broadly. That's why we said that our structure is more like a triangle. When you think about it, think of it as the base layer to be an engineering kind of a layer, wherein we have the ability to expand any way we want. And then the next layer becomes a product story layer, wherein we say that the second layer is, okay, this is the function that we are catering to, or these are the problems that we are solving for, and this is how the product needs to look. That's the product layer. And the topmost layer, the smallest layer in the triangle, is where you look at it as a GTM layer. You say that today my approach to do this is X, Y, and Z, but later on, maybe 1 year later, or 2 years later, or maybe 6 months later, there is an opportunity to do something else. But if you have not considered that, and if you were too focused on just one, you will not be flexible. This is where you see problems like, say, you see a company expanding into multiple products, and then you see that, hey, 10 products and they have 10 different marketplaces in the same company. Unless you have a common base, you cannot have that open. And that's how we start to think even about our content. We say that this is the gamut that we are playing in. These are the different pillars that each contributes to, and how they need to talk to each other. It's not like 10 different pieces of content separately adding value to nothing, but each of them are connected to one another and they give you one complete story. Wherever you land on that particular piece, but everything is also connected to other pieces as well. So you get to see the holistic picture.
Man, that was great. I was listening and you kept going, but each each part has the one that is coming after. I
Yeah.
can see that you talked a lot between each other and come to the core of things.
Yeah, it's absolute fun. It's great to be continuously challenged. The beauty of being in a place is that uh, you enjoy being challenged, and the challenge is not like being pushed into a corner. It's like you get appreciated at the same time. Here's typically how my conversation with my CEO typically goes. It's like, hey, this is awesome, you've done these things. Now can we take it to the next level by thinking A, B, and C? And you feel awesome about delivering, and many times you start thinking about it like, hey, I have covered A, B, and C. Maybe I'm gonna this is exciting, maybe I've delivered above and beyond. And when Aditya comes with an entirely different perspective and say, can we expand to X, Y, and Z? And you're like, why didn't I think of it? This is why I posted on us on LinkedIn 2 days back, where I said, you know staying close to the founding team and the CEO, that's where I think a lot of marketers miss the mark. You need to be as close as possible to the founding team, because you need to be able to see the market from that lens. You cannot operate within the cocoon of marketing. It's like, within marketing you're like a caterpillar. It's great, you have your own cocoon around you, but then when you break free and you have the wings of a butterfly, you see that there is much more wider world with a lot more perspective. And I need to consider all these things. Marketing becomes valuable only when you get the holistic business. It's a combination of you understanding where the business wants to be, also understanding where your current customers are and how they perceive. So that how to put this. If you're like, say, this is something I also had a conversation with April Dunford. And one of the things that she beautifully spoke about positioning is that she said that if you are talking about something that is way too futuristic, which probably is meaningful for a VC because they are investing in the long term, but what you position towards the VC cannot be what you position for the customer, right? So if you take the customer story to a VC, they're not interested. If you're taking a VC story to a customer, they're not going to be interested. So you need to have that balance, saying that, hey, this is where we are going. This is what people are looking at today, and this is where we stand. So how do on what is the balance that we need to tilt to in the most in the most say virtuous manner, at the same time most meaningful manner, and in the most ethical manner. And that's where that's a fun thing. There's so much to learn. I still feel that there is so much that I absolutely have no clue about, but at the same time it feels excited to get up to do this every day.
Yeah, I think like both of us know a lot of stuff, understand the core of things, but when it comes to the details, like every person, every company is doing it a little bit differently.
Yeah,
And as you learn, like in a month or 2 months, a new thing, the way they are doing it, which is a little bit twisted for the way you know that you
yeah,
have done it, then you're like, aha, I can come to the goal like
yeah,
using this road, not only the
yeah,
only road that I know. Maybe there's
exactly.
another road that I cannot see at the moment.
Yeah,
Those are all because like I look at the marketing as, like as you said, we have a company or a product, a service on one side, we have customers on the other side, and marketing is there to connect those
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Now we can call it go to market, we can call it differently, we can
yeah,
call it as April called it, with lots of attributes,
yeah.
the unfair advantage that we have, and that's it basically, if you look at it, but it's not that simple to put everything in practice.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the best thing is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel in everything. There
Mm-hmm.
are so many people. Many times, we think about it this way. There are so many people who might have solved the same problem, might have had the same questions that we've had, and that is exactly where we need to be open to learning from everyone. Keeping the ego as minimal as possible, and ask multiple people and get to know how something is done. It might be answers might be even outside of your industry, and that is where all these things come into practice. Yeah, fundamentally, I would say the moment you start thinking that you know it, that is the day when you start falling down.
Love it. Love it. Man, that's a great conclusion. Uh, One thing I want to ask you now, out of all those things that we talked, or something that we didn't, is what's the one thing that you will that you want people to take away from this conversation?
So the only thing that I would say is that as I just said, it's important to stay humble. And when I say humble, it's not practicing humility, but being that you don't become humble, you be humble. That's who you are. And second is, let's always look at opportunities to improve ourselves, that 1% every day. The best question that you can ask yourself is, have I 6 months back, if you look at yourself and you compare to now, and if you see that your skills or your mindset or something hasn't changed, hasn't improved, then we probably are not evolving. So that is something to think about. And lastly, I would also be shameless to give a shout out to Avoma and say that if you are in sales or customer success or any GDM function, take a look at avoma.com. It's AVOMA. If you're wondering what it means, it's an acronym for a very organized meeting assistant. So take a look and do let us know your thoughts. And as always, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Always looking to build new relationships, and no pressure on pushing you to try the product and all that, but just let's connect and have good conversations, and let's elevate this as world together.
Yeah, I love what it means. I didn't know what the name means. That's great. That's great. It actually tells the whole story that you were just saying.
Yeah.
Uh, Guys, one thing that I can tell you is now is the time to stop everything and go back to the beginning of the episode, because Yag just told you so many things that you need to go back and listen to all of those things uh, for the second time, just so you make sure that you get everything. Then go connect with him on LinkedIn. Uh, he's always inspiring a little twist of the conversation or the perspective, those kind of stuff. Make sure that you check Avoma, especially their blog. Now they're building the podcast, and you know, podcast on audio or YouTube, wherever. Also, check Yag's podcast. As I said, we'll leave all the links in description, but account base marketing conversations podcast. And as always, guys, you just keep it funky. And Yag, my brother, thanks you once again for taking time for this conversation.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure, and let's keep this going. Let's keep it funky.
Of course. Hopefully, we'll meet each other in person soon. It's about time.
Absolutely.
Okay, man. Take care. Bye
Have
bye.
a good day.